Welcome back to She Can, where women lead by example. We interview women from all walks of life to hear their experiences, their insights, and their stories of how they got to where they are today to help and support and guide others. I'm very excited to welcome Louisa Olafuyi this morning. Louisa, good morning. You're an entrepreneur, a children's media and EdTech specialist, and the founder and COO of Kunda Kids. Now, you are the mother of three. You're passionate about innovating solutions and creating content for today's connected and tech-savvy youth. You're based in London and are the winner of the IFC Female Founders Growth Program in 2023. You're the finalist in Black British Business Awards in 2023. You're the winner of the MasterCard Foundation EdTech Fellowship Program. And you've done so much in this space. Tell us how you got to where you are today, or your pivotal points in your journey.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's an honor to be doing what we're doing at Kunda Kids and having an impact. Also working in publishing at the time, and we really saw that there was a lack of representation, not only in libraries, in children's libraries, school libraries, but also on places like YouTube and on television too. So we started by publishing our first few books about African history, designed for preschoolers and primary age children, to introduce them to characters in African history, as the market research that we had done indicated that to a very large degree, many children and parents really what they had known about African history sort of started and stopped with slavery. And there's actually so much depth to be uncovered about African history and a lot of exciting and inspiring characters too. So we wanted to bring them to children. Since then, we developed a Kunda Kids app, which is focused on driving literacy and using literacy to help children learn how to read and then to read to learn and use reading as a way to learning about themselves and things around the world. And then lastly, and also very excitedly, we launched a children's animated series called Kunda and Friends, which is on YouTube and which is enjoyed everywhere. And that's a preschool show that takes African music and African-inspired music such as reggae, Afrobeats, and Amapiano, and brings them to nursery rhymes. And it's very much centered around child development. So we're a very multifaceted business, but certainly within the media and edtech space. And it's about taking African storytelling to a global audience.
Louisa, tell us a little bit about your audience, the tech-savvy youth of today. What are they like? How did they take up your services and your incredible educational material you put out there?
Yeah, well, I mean, the reality is that decline in literacy is actually declining. It's been declining year on year. So, whilst children are aware that reading helps with their attainment, both academically and also emotionally, it's great for their mental health and they enjoy it when they do it. Reading occasions have been on a steady decline year on year. And that's no surprise when we look at social media. We live in a very dopamine-filled environment with our digital devices, and this very much translates into the everyday world of children, both in the content they consume. So we know that not only are children looking for content that is faster and more vibrant and more easily accessible. Children, this new generation of Gen Alpha and Gen Beta, have very high expectations for the kind of content that they want to consume. And as such, it's been really important for us to not think about digital content as something that we're battling against, but to really see how we can use it to support our literacy aims, how we can use it to create multifaceted storytelling, and how we can really leverage digital technology in our pursuit to ensure that children are still reading and still using storytelling to learn.
I'm so inspired by you creating exactly that material to go against these notions of declining literacy, etc. Louisa, what would you say? You're an entrepreneur now. What is that like? What is that journey like? And what would you say are your main lessons of the last couple of years?
Yeah, well, it's been very busy and very exciting. I think the one thing that I feel makes me relate to the young learners that we spend a lot of time with and catering for is that learning never stops.
Mm.
And we try to encourage this notion of being a lifelong learner, somebody that is always curious to solve problems, has a curiosity about the world and people around them, and to come to the realization that there is not a particular point that the learning stops, and to be somebody that's brave enough to be um, bad at something new and to be able to develop a new skill. So, as much as I have accomplished a number of things in my life, entrepreneurship was another new thing for me to do at this point in time. And I have had to learn a lot of things. I have been challenged, I've been stretched. We have had our ups and we have had our downs. And I think that has made me very empathetic to children who are constantly also learning and lots of new things, learning how to build confidence, learning how to take up space, ask the right questions, and also be able to have a level of relatability to the fact that we're always constantly learning. And sometimes children have a way of looking at adults thinking that we have it all figured out, but actually we are all embarking on our own sort of journey one way or another.
Yeah, I always tell that to my children who, think that you know everything. No, we don't.
Exactly.
Louisa, so as an entrepreneur and as as an EdTech specialist, what tips would you have to other people who this is a growing space? Hopefully, there'll be many more entrepreneurs putting really good products out into the world. What would your tips be for them?
Yeah, I think one major tip would um, be prepared to have a big vision. There's nothing wrong in having a big vision, but you have to be ready to take small steps, right? We have a very audacious vision at Kunda Kids and a bold one, but we are very unapologetic and bullish about it. And that's to build the Disney of Africa.
Mm,
That's to have a multifaceted business that's producing high level children's content designed to inspire the next generation. And that's to really also create the first globally recognized IP coming out of Africa. It's a very big ambition. We do realize that, but we know that the opportunity and the path to scale and growth is there. But if we were to focus on that final destination, it would intimidate us all, and we would always be thinking, oh my God, how are we going to get there? What are we going to do? So we have to take incremental steps towards that growth. And sometimes the growth comes in the consistency and comes in the everyday and in the showing up, and in those small incremental improvements. And I think that that's a really transferable lesson, not to just fellow entrepreneurs, but also through parenting. I think we all want the best for our children and to be able to get them where we want them to be and to be happy and to live fulfilled lives. But a lot of that starts in the small everyday decisions that we make in our homes and the small conversations that we have and in the small bits of time and valuable bits of time that we can give to our children. And likewise, the children that we work with at Kunda Kids and that we support. We have big ambitions to improve literacy, to innovate EdTech, to create all these cool and amazing shows. But they start with listening to customer research. They start with making incremental changes to our illustrations and in our improvements in our writing. So I think having my single piece of advice is that have that big, bold vision, but make sure that it is anchored on small incremental steps.
brilliant. Yeah. Louisa, so you've been alluding to it. What are your challenges with your business on a day-to-day basis?
I would say one of the biggest challenges is around lack of representation. So, not in just the need to create representative children's content, but also in the lack of representation that exists in the founder startup space too.
Mm.
So, especially as a female co-founded business, unfortunately, only 0.02% of startups with Black female founders are able to raise the capital that they deserve. And sometimes that is also because of levels of systematic discrimination that exist, and the access to capital, to funding, to advice, to networks, to a number of things. So not only would I really love to see an improvement in the representation, diversity, and inclusion of children's content, I would also love to see how founders, especially female founders, and especially founders from the African diaspora, can get more support, um, can get access to better funding, and be able to leverage the opportunities that a lot of other startups around the world can. That has been a major challenge, one that we continue to try and overcome in the best way that we can. We've been a successful business in the fact that we've been able to raise a capital of just shy of $1 million to do what we're doing. Some of that has come through bootstrapping, through raising from friends and family, and our successful pre-seed round, where we raised about 700,000 US dollars. But that is a success for us, but something that a lot of other startups don't get to see, especially in the media space.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that you talked about this, Louisa, because we are aware of it now as a society, and we keep talking about it. But these data points do not move. Women get less than 2%. Black female entrepreneurs get a tiny fraction of that. So it has to move, and more and more, thankfully, more and more awareness is being raised, and people are working in the space, but so far these data points haven't moved.
Yeah.
Um, Louisa, so how I know that I've heard your really big vision. What would you like your legacy to be?
Wow. So, when you ask me, Stephanie, what I would like my legacy to be, um, I feel that even with the success that Kunda Kids is going to have, we have already started building some kind of a legacy, right? We have already started to be the brand and create the experiences that many of us wish that we had as children.
Mm.
Um, and there are a lot of parents that have written to us saying how grateful they are that their child can go into school on Culture Day or on World Book Day and be able to dress up as a character that's not just Peppa Pig, or to dress up as a character that they can feel they have a cultural connection to. And even just those small wins do leave an impact and have an impact. And I think that they are part of the Kunda Kids legacy that we are already establishing. Of course, we want to grow the scale of the impact that we can have. And we hope to not only just be able to create IPs and experiences that are memorable and will be memorable through and across generations, but to really be able to have a positive impact on how early years and early years learning is developed and executed across Africa. Um, there's a lot that needs to be done with how early learning is developed, and I really hope that Kunda Kids can be incremental in that, and that to be a big part of our legacy.
Yeah. Louisa, so what is the bit that you would say you're most proud of to date?
I would say that quite selfishly, I really am happy that even my son is a really loves our content, that through small things like our Africa song that we did, he's got to learn about the 54 African countries,
Mm.
and that we have actually seen in real time through our own children and through our friends' children and through schools the positive impact that we're having. It's wonderful to see it in real time. It's wonderful to read our comments on social media. These kind of things really motivate us and keep us going. I think as well, we are becoming a proof of concept to people who sometimes see things like what we're doing at Kunda Kids, improving representation in children's content, and think that it's only just a charitable venture. We are showing that there is commercial viability in representation. And we are showing that the opportunity is there, not just in terms of a positive impact, but also in the fact that we are a profit generating company,
Yeah.
that there's also money to be made in doing good. And sometimes they're juxtapositioned against themselves too frequently. But actually, you can create good content, wholesome experiences. Sorry, good content, wholesome experiences, and positive impact, whilst also being a profit generating and commercially viable and successful business.
Yeah, super powerful what you just said. Very important. So, what kind of a leader are you, Louisa? How do you want to lead going forwards?
I'm learning a lot about leadership, both in terms of being a leader for the business, being a leader for our teams, and really being able to develop my own leadership capacity. I think that the kind of leadership style that I have learned to develop is one of empathy and one that's rooted in understanding and active listening. I come from an innovation background, and was a qualitative researcher for a number of years. And I have learned that one of the greatest assets that I think I bring into the business is the fact that I'm very intuitive. I have the right conversations, and I try to instill in our team that it's not just about having the right answers, it's also about asking the right questions. And I'm always more intrigued to know what questions people have rather than what answers they want to deliver. And I'm hoping that I'll be the kind of leader that promotes um, people to be intuitive and to be introspective and to be active listeners and to be problem solvers, not just the problems on their plate, but the problems that they can solve for other people. And I hope that Kunda Kids will continue to be a problem solving company because of that. That's the kind of leadership legacy I would like to leave and that I actively try to instill in the business. But I don't believe that there is a leadership style that I will ever just arrive at. I believe that it is an ongoing learning process.
Louisa, so what are your plans and goals for 2025? What are the
Oh,
goals sort of more in the short term? We understand your really big vision. We're very, very proud of you for holding this big vision and for putting it out there and for leading with it to make sure that other people are allowed and feel they can hold these big visions. What is the sort of short term growth plan you have?
yeah, thank you. We have lots of exciting things planned for 2025. So, the first is our expansion into different languages. So, Kunda and Friends has done exceptionally well in its English format, and we have lots of songs that are growing in popularity on YouTube. And this year, we just launched our French channel, and we're seeing a lot of growth and positive reception
Mm.
from markets such as France, Brussels, Canada. And I think it's really, really important that we expand our language ambitions. We are thinking about different languages from Portuguese to Swahili, to Yoruba, to a bunch of languages to make sure our content can get to as many children around the world as possible. So that's a big one. We also have ambitions to expand into the US, and that's really exciting. We have new IPs that we're going to develop. A number of our characters have been so much more popular than we could have ever anticipated, such as Tandy and Kunda and Friends, and we're excited to see what we can do with Tandy and how we can expand her as a character We also are engaging with more schools and educational institutions and finding more innovative ways to engage and support teachers in their delivery of African history and culture to primary years and preschool children. And of course, hoping that we'll have more events around the world. We've done Kunda Kids events in the US, but we're going to the US. We've done them in the UK, Finland, Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, and we're hoping that we can get to more people and get to more places and bring that Kunda Kids energy to a lot more cities around the world.
Amazing, Louisa. So, what would you like our listeners to take away from your story if you had to sum it up?
Yeah, I would love listeners to be inspired by Kunda Kids and know that we started this out of a very small sort of ambition to be what we want to see. And I think that there's so many of us that are sitting on ideas that we want to manifest. And I think, as I mentioned before, it's great to have a big idea, but just make an incremental step. We all have the power to be game changers, to be problem solvers. And I'd hope that especially other women, would be inspired by the journey that we've taken to make an impact and to really make a visible dent in a space that we weren't sure we were ever going to. Publishing is not an easy space to navigate, nor is media. But we've managed to make an impact. And I think that just came from having a strong vision. I would also just love to support and encourage any sort of female entrepreneurs and startup owners to continue pushing through the barriers that exist. And I think being part of as many networks as you can is really important. And I'm always happy when people reach out to me and ask any questions, and any advice I can always offer on that. I'm always very happy to do so. So don't sit on your dreams. Just go ahead and try to manifest your big vision with incremental steps.
Thank you, Louisa. My last question would be if you could write a postcard to every person in the world with one sentence, what would that sentence be?
Ah, I think it would be more of a statement than a sentence. So something that I always sign in our books, because I've written a number of Kunda Kids books. So when I sign them, I always say dream big, always,
Mm.
um, to always uh, don't be afraid to take up space. Don't be afraid to dream big. Don't be afraid to challenge yourselves with the what ifs. So I think it's more of a statement. I'd always encourage anyone and everyone, big and small, to dream big always.
Louisa, I'm so grateful for you to take the time to record your story, to share all your invaluable insights, and for showing that a Black female entrepreneur can get funding, that she can get on the road to fulfilling the dreams and the purpose that she has, and doing good at the same time and making money, right? So, thank you so much for joining me today, for telling your story.
Thank you for having me, Stephanie. It's been a pleasure.